evening and good night. Depending on where you are in the world, I see that we have a few people that joined in early, and that's great. We're going to start at 3 minutes after the hour, but first we're going to do some logistical work and check with audio and visual.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining. All right, you can see my screen, correct?
No, I can't see your screen.
Okay, so that means that you're probably in another tenant and you need to go to the Microsoft tenant.
Okay. Let me leave. I'll come and then I'll come back in. I'll come back in on the Microsoft tenant. Okay.
Okay, excellent. All right, for those of you who just heard me, we are going to be starting at 3 minutes after the hour. Those who are early, great. For joining in early, we are going to do some testing to make sure the audio and visual is working properly. So you have plenty of time to stretch your legs, go get a drink, beverage, um, do some jumping jacks, whatever you wish to do before we get started. So appreciate it.
Fine.
All right.
I
Can
I
you see my
I
screen?
no, I still cannot see your screen. Why can I not see your screen? Because I think I'm in a Microsoft.
Well, it would be good if I go ahead and
Oh,
share my screen.
oh, Cookie. What
Sorry
was
about
this?
that. I had
Your
you go
hand.
out and come back in. All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you guys joining us in. You're a little bit early. That's great. Actually, right on time at 8 o'clock. We will be starting 3 minutes after the hour. So, this is plenty of time for you to grab a beverage, stretch your legs, do something before we get started. But we're going to give folks a little bit more time to jump in. And we're going to do some testing on our end to make sure everything is running smoothly. So, Laura, when you get the opportunity, can you go ahead and share your screen?
Yep, sure. Let me just. Oh, I've lost Teams. Teams has vanished on me. Let me just go and find you. There you are. Let's put you down there. That works. And we're gonna go with. I'm hoping you can see my screen.
Excellent. I can see it. Great. And I can hear you just fine. So we're good there. I'm going to go ahead and take control again. When we get started, I like to do a little bit of housekeeping and talk about some things for the user group itself. And then I will hand it over to you as soon as I go ahead and make those announcements.
Awesome.
All right. It's 1 minute after the hour. We still got a little bit of about 2 minutes left. Just waiting for folks to get in. As they trickle in, this is a good time for you to get up, stretch your legs, or refill on a cup of coffee, tea, and we'll get started 3 minutes after the hour. All right. It looks like it's 3 minutes after the hour. It is 8:03 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or in my case, Arizona time, which is where I'm located. Thank you all for joining today. This is the Reporting Services Migration to Power BI Monthly User Group event series, and we have some exciting events to share coming, as well as talk about some of the announcements that we recently made just to make sure our customers are aware of what's out there. And then we're going to turn it over to our guest speaker. And so let's go ahead and get started. Again, like I said, we'll have some announcements, upcoming events. Our guest speaker today is Laura Grant Brown, and then of course we will open it up for Q&A. So, we are excited to share with our customers that we have dynamic subscriptions for paginated reports. It is currently in preview today, and we made this announcement towards the end of August. So, it is very much still new, and customers are thrilled about this capability. They have been asking for this for quite some time, and the team has been working on getting this available. So please go ahead and try it out. I put in a screenshot of the blog post announcement that was made. So please let me know if you need anything to get that set up. And so we're excited about that. Another activity that's been happening, and this is in conjunction with the Power BI Pro Group, because they manage Power BI data sets. And so Kai just recently made an announcement about streamlining cloud connections. So now we are actually having shareable cloud connections within Power BI and the Fabric um, platform. And for customers like yourselves who are familiar with SSRS, you've known that we've had shared data sets and shared data connections for quite some time. And with the new streamlined cloud connection, it is very similar to shareable to shared data connections. And so I know customers are excited about that as well. This was one of the what we consider an inhibitor for our customers to migrate to Power BI because they deal with a lot of data connections that are shared, and so we're now opening that up in the cloud, so it'll be more of a seamless, um, streamlined process for you to get those users on that shared connection. So very excited about that news. As you all probably know, those who attend the user group event series regularly, I always want to put this slide up so that customers can see that we do have some guidelines and a lot of good, valuable information to customers. And when we make things available, we do want to let you know that it's out there for you to go ahead and grab. And this is from our Microsoft Learn page. So you can get to this link here within the community site here, and you just click on resources, and you should see the resources that are available to you. For our event series, we have some exciting events that's coming. We have for the month of October, we'll have admin monitoring for tenant admins. And this is something that Bogdan Blaga is going to be speaking about. Of course, for those of you who are familiar with Power BI and you know that we have a usage metrics app, that app is very limited in what you're able to do. And so the team has been working on how to really give you better coverage on seeing your user adoption to your reports, as well as taking a look at, uh, are they exporting Excel files? What are they doing? So you'll be able to see those things as well. And so that's an exciting event that's coming up in October. So please go ahead and register. I am going to make these links available to you guys after my presentation and when Laura takes over. And so don't try and like, memorize the address or anything like that. I will send this out to you. For November, I have not yet determined a date. And the reason being is because when you get closer to the end of the year, a lot of people go on holiday. And so we are going to have Ginger Grant share with us about performance tuning for Power BI and paginated reports. And December, I am trying to get Ted Patterson to join us on localization. So that is what I would like to end the year with. But be sure to check the events page in the Power BI or Fabric community, and you'll see those posts come up in here, just like the one that you see here on the left, which shows that today we are going to be turning it over to Laura to talk about Power BI and Power Automate and how they work well together. Just to give you a little bit of background, Laura Graham Brown she's a very busy woman and she is a pillar in the data professional community. You'll find her at all kind of conferences. She's a guest speaker, have engagements and other activities in the community. And today we are very lucky to have her join us. So her presentation is on Power BI and Power Automate doing what they do best. In this session, we will look at how Power Automate can give Power BI write back options. Then we'll move on to how Power BI can deliver transformed data to Power Automate, and then continue to look at how Power Automate can help deliver reports in new ways from Teams messages to paginated reports. So very excited to see what's coming. And so Laura, I am going to go ahead and hand it over to you. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Cookie. Thank you, Cookie. I'm not sure my head's going to get out the doorway with that introduction. So, let me share my screen and let's get going. So, wait a second. Let me just convince Teams that it really does want to sit over there. And it really wants to come back onto this window. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. So, Power Automate, Power BI. They are my two favorite tools. Include Power BI. In my head, I include paginated reports. So let's go to the next slide. This is me out on social media in various places. I'm Laura GB, so it's not just Twitter nowadays. It's all the other varieties that are out there. Oh, let's not do that. That was too quickly. My blog is Hatful of Data. For those of you that are looking, I'm sure it complements lots of things that Cookies already put up. I actually have paginated resources on there. I have a page of all the paginated resources I could find out there, and if there's any missing, please let me know and I'll just add them in. Because a couple of years ago, I did 12 days of paginated reports because I had to learn them. Okay, so therefore I did videos. That's why I video. Okay, so when I have to learn something new, I go and create videos because that makes me learn it. When I'm not doing lots of tech stuff, I play board games, and this is one of my favorite board games at the moment. That you grow trees, and it's good fun. So let's move on. So Power BI. So my issue when I'm working with other developers, citizen developers quite often, because that's who I specialize with, they'll use the wrong tool for the wrong job. So Power BI, it's really good at mashing up data. It's really good at doing things. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, please just do put them. Is it Q&A here or is it chat here, Cookie?
It would be in the chat.
It'd be in the chat. Yep.
Yes.
And so Power BI, it's really good at doing the transforming. It's really good at doing the calculations and the visualization. Okay, so that's its kind of thing. Power Automate is really good at doing repetitive tasks. It's really good doing action. It's really good at performing actions, reacting, responding, and all those things. By the way, it's not very good at data integration. Please don't use it for that big style. Okay, if you've got little integration, yes, you're fine. It can move data around, but please, you get into thousands of rows. Power Automate is not the way to do it. There are better tools out there. So Microsoft, in their description of these things, came up with the two phrases of Power BI is to analyze, Power Automate is to act, and that fits perfectly with what we should be using them for. Okay, so let's move on from there. And I'm going to guess you've all had to learn new things. We're all learning about all the different things through sessions like this or things. But actually, the real way we learn things is having a problem to solve. Okay, so my problem is an exercise bike that I bought in January, and I knew full well it would soon become a clothes horse if I didn't have somebody to keep me using it. So therefore, meet my grumpy coach Dan. And between us, the way he knows what exercise I've done and what stuff I've done is Strava. Okay, my bike can upload data to Strava. He can see it on Strava. But both Dan and I are both data nerds, so we both kind of think, it can't be the right way to do it. There must be another way to do it. So let's come up with a way that we take the data and it goes into Strava. We pull out the data from Strava in an XML format and put that into Power BI, and then Dan look at it. Well, no, it didn't work because the XML that comes out of Strava is horrible. Power BI really doesn't like it. And let's be honest, Dan doesn't want to log into Power BI. He wants it delivered in some other method. Okay, so lots of crosses there. So if you give a consultant a diagram like that with lots of crosses, one of the things consultants will do, and I am a consultant, is we'll take that diagram and we'll just make it bigger. And we'll put lots of things in there. So we're not going to demo all of this today. I don't have time. We're going to be hard pushed enough to put all the demos that I want to put in today. So let's just start on the left-hand side and I'll explain which ones we're going to do, which ones we're not going to do. So over here on the left-hand side, coming into Strava, it creates these TCX files. I created a routine here that took, basically I need to strip stuff out of that XML because it's got some schemas in there that aren't public. So I use XML I use a list in Excel just to strip out and save back the XML file, and that works fine. Then there's the whole report. So my report takes data from these XML files. It also has a direct connection to a little SQL Server table I've got. I'll explain what that is when we see the report. Whenever I put a new report in, because I don't exercise on a regular basis, as you'll see, by the way, in my data, I have not ridden my bike recently. So we want to, every time I add a new ride, I want to trigger my refresh. So that's a really simple little Power Automate. It's a nice little one that can do. Then we've got the one here, which is maybe on a scheduled front, or maybe when Dan presses a button, it can do things in here to send him a message. And this is where we're going to look at potentially sending a Teams message and look at our paginated reports part. Okay. And the other part, the write back, which I'll probably do before I get to the paginated reports, because I think we're going to get distracted there. And I want to just do a quick thing about its write back, and then we'll come back and do this one. And the write back is to add a button into our Power BI report, which can do the write back to SQL. And because it's a direct connection, you can see the report update live. Okay, so that whole part at the top, right? And so we're not going to do this demo here, and I'm not going to build the report. Okay, there also should be down here the paginated report. When I do this session for especially for BizApps conferences, I don't dare mention paginated reports because that is just asking too much. And it's so the paginated report sometimes gets in and sometimes doesn't get in, but Cookie made sure that it got into today's one. Right. Okay. So enough slides, demo time. So let's go over and have a look. So here is my report. Okay, I've got a whole bunch of rides that I've done. It is a Power BI report that is fed off of this this SharePoint folder full of XML files. Okay, and what we want is we want it that when a new file gets added into here, we just do a refresh of that report. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go and write that report. We're going to go write that flow. So I'm going to come back into here. This was meant to be in flow, but it's not. Let's go there. So here I am. Yeah, I realize it says Amy. That's because I'm logged into a demo tenancy, and Amy is one of the characters. Amy is one of the people in there. So if I go to my flows, I am just going to turn off that one for a second because that's the one I wrote previously. I'm just going to turn it off. And I'm going to show you how I created it. So we're going to go to create, and across the top here, there's a whole bunch of buttons. Now, it normally would be an automated, i.e. triggered by an event. That's what I'd normally go for and we'd build it. But actually, a recent announcement, and I'm always up for having a go at the new things, is describe it to design it. Okay, so if I click onto there and into here, now unfortunately I've done this a number of times, so it's actually going to know what I type in here. But if you look, which means you don't have to watch me type things. This is previous ones I've done. When I add a file to SharePoint library, refresh my Power BI report. Okay, or when I add, then refresh. When and then happens to be a pattern that works quite well in here. And there you go. If I typed all that in and it says, well, this is what we suggest. Does that look kind of right? And you go, yeah, that works. That works. And then so we press the next button. And it's making sure that I've got the right connections. And then I'm going to go create flow. And it says we've got to fill in some bits. So we're going to fill in that we want it to be that site, the cleaned folder, select folder or leave blank for the whole library. That's great. And the refresher data set, we pick my workspace, and we pick my data set. Okay. And we click save. If I go and have a look, so your flow's ready to go, recommend you test it. So let's test it. So come into here, if you look, there's 25 rides, and the last ride was the 15th of August. If I go here, and I am going to upload a file from my desktop. There we go. Oh yeah, right now, Power Automate isn't instantaneous. It doesn't run it instantly. It will run eventually, but it doesn't run instantaneous in there, so it might take a few minutes. So if I come back to here, when the flow runs, we'll see it down here, okay? And so that's not what I wanted to do. It's not what I wanted to do. Let's go back. What I want to do is just press the refresh there. So that will appear in a minute, okay? And we're going to cope. We're going to cope with that for a second, right? So if I go back to my PowerPoint and just go back up, so that's that demo one. We'll prove it works in a second. I want to talk about this right back first before I come and talk about this part. So right back, and we'll test it works, by the way, on the way. So I will go and have a look, but I'm aware that I always run out of time in these things. So we're going to come here. Let's just see if it's run while I was talking. There we go. And you can see there's there it is, and it succeeded. If I click on the date and time there, you will see the little green ticks that show it worked. If I come back to my report here and just do a Control R, there we go. We've got our 26 rides, and there's my Royal Navy Dockyards ride in Bermuda. So that's worked, right? The next part, okay, it's already been built, but we're gonna rebuild it, okay? So this one here, if I go and so let's go, sorry, go back to that one there, and I go and have a look at the details. So I've got these details here, and then I've got these charts here that are coloured in. Okay, they're coloured in because I've annotated them. I've said at this point here, an interval starts. At this point here, my recovery starts. So my rides have kind of like ride like crazy, stop for a bit, ride like crazy, stop for a bit. That's how the rides work. So that's what the flow I'm going to do is how I annotate my data, because it comes in looking like that ride that's just come in, which if I look at this details, it comes in looking like this. So I've got no annotations at all. So let's move across to the Power BI report, because I don't want to. So here is exact. It just hasn't refreshed. Okay, so here is the report, and I've got a page here. I've got a page here called label sections. Okay, and what it will do is it will, if I pick a point in my ride, let's pick a slightly better ride. My apologies. Let me go and pick the ride. One of these rides will do. Any ride. I think none of these rides have been done. So if I go and click on add sections. Okay. If I click into my ride here, right? So I've clicked on here. I've got 3 measures set up. One gives me the activity ID. Yeah, I know it's a date and time, and yeah, I know that's a really bad thing to have as an ID, but it's the way it currently works. I've got a selected section, so in this case it's recovery, but this could be over here. I could say this is the beginning of the interval, which looking at this ride, it probably is. This is the warm-up section, and this is the beginning of the interval. And that second there is where I have clicked on start. Okay, and I want to click a button to run that flow. But before, I'm not going to do that. Click the button. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to show you how I build it. Okay, so we are going to drop down here. I've got the latest version of Power BI, so the insert of visuals over here nowadays. And there is the Power Automate button. Okay, and it gives you a whole bunch of instructions. And the first thing it tells you to do is to add data. So if I go to, I could do it either by clicking add data here, or I could go and have a look over here on my flow measures. If you look, it says drag. So I can actually go and just drag. Is it not going to be drag? It's going to be, I can just tick. So there you are. I've added in those 3 values, these 3 across here. The next thing you do is you edit the flow. So we click on the 3 dots, and we're going to go to edit. I've done this before. I've done this session a few times, but we're going to ignore those for a second. We're going to go to new, and we're going to go to an instant cloud flow. Instant means someone presses a button to run it. So my new step is going to be a SQL Server step. What you need to understand is, in this particular case, a SQL Server is premium, so therefore it's going to have premium connectors. So you have to be a little bit careful on the things we're going to do, but that's fine. And I'm going to insert a row. Now, I previously have been in here and done this before, so I've already set up the connection. If this was the first time, you'd have to log in first. And if I come into here, it's already got set up for me the name of my server, the name of my database, and I only have one table. And when you do that, it should then give you the three fields in that table. And so I can click into there, an activity ID, and there you are. This is dynamic. This is called dynamic content, and I can click on activity ID, and it fills it in. But as soon as it does that, it goes, oh, No, that's inside a table. Because when you hand data over to Power Automate, it hands it over in a table format. And it goes, if it's a table, it might have multiple rows. Now, I happen to know that I'm only handing over measures, so it's only ever going to have one row. So the apply to each doesn't do anything. And I could fix it, but to tell you the truth, it's not worth it in this case. If there's a possibility that I only ever wanted the first, there are ways of doing that. Section start, it knows that's a number field, so it's only showing me the number things that are available. Section name, it knows that's text, so it could have anything in it, and so therefore you get more fields. Selected section. Okay, so that's those parts done. That's it done, so I click save. I've called, and there it gives it a big long name. I could have why doesn't she have a license? She had a license yesterday. Let's start the trial.
Hey, Laura, can you expand your screen a little bit, make it a little bit larger? I'm old and I have bad eyes.
No. I can zoom in. I can zoom in. Let me just convince it that it's going to let me do that. Not a problem. Let me just think of a way the easy way to do that in here. Easy way to do that. Just do that. Display settings. Let's go for the big boy. Scale. Let's try that. Is that better? Except I've broken it.
Yes, thank you.
I am slightly concerned that I'm not getting what I'm expecting to get there. Let's just. My apologies, guys. One thing I did the part of the demo that let me just make sure that Amy has got the permissions that I am expecting her to have. It's just not going to work. Am I going to have an issue because of my flow licenses? Let me go back into Pabia. Let me go back to that one. My apologies if this flow is not going to work because of my permissions. I might have to tweak it, but I will then move on to paginated reports because I know that's the priority today. Let's try one more time on this, and if it doesn't work, I will. My apologies. I'm going to go for that one. So that was the identical. That's the identical one. You can see that's just the one I wrote before, and I'm going to click a tick. So what the important part to get in here is to make sure that you do apply it and that you get that green message that says it's been applied. And I'm going to go back to the report. Okay, so that's buttons in there. You can do a number of formatting things. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you can do a number of formatting things to get things in there to work. So I can click into there, and let's hope this all works. So now actually, let's go back to right at the beginning of my part there. So my selected second is 0, and this is the warm-up section. And we're going to click control onto there. It triggers it triggered it, and then I'm going to come to here and say that's my interval. Now, because I'm running this in desktop, it's not gonna run in quite the same way as it does when it's published. Okay, you actually have to go and do a refresh in order for. I think I could have done a refresh just so one of these sections, but hopefully that won't take too long. To get it to update that, to get it to I have remembered, you don't have to do this. You can go to optimize, and you can go to refresh visuals, which is the easy way to do it. And hopefully, there we go. We can see we've got the two colors have been applied, and we can see here the two rows have been added. So that button works. Okay, that button, and you just got don't do anything too complicated. If you're trying to do complicated things in here, bring in a power app maybe, but that's not what today's session's about. Okay, but just do lots of testing and make sure it works. And obviously in the service, make sure that you've been in there and tested that. So that, if we go back, I've done a video for both the things we've just done. If I go back to here, that was demo 3. Now, demo 2, I have not done a video for, because I'm doing a slightly different version of it today. So bear with me, because it's the first time we're going to do it this way. So, I have if I go back to my part here, I have a paginated report. And it's a very simple little paginated report, okay? It asks me to pick an index number, okay? So I've realized it's unfriendly and everything, but this isn't meant to be a friendly report in that regards. I'm not expecting to run this from here. And there we are. We've got a paginated report, okay? Which shows me my heart rate and my watts and a little chart down the side showing me how the watts is going. Okay, really, really simple report, nothing complicated, isn't even tidied up properly as far as I'm concerned, but it works. And it's got a filter of a number. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to run so however you're going to trigger it doesn't matter. We're going to start with a really simple trigger of just take one ride and make a file and save it. Okay, then we're going to have a look at give me all the rides in August. It's meant to be September or the last week, but I haven't done any, so it has to be August. And take all of those rides and run those and create files for all of those. So that's what we're going to do, right? So let's start by writing the simple version. And I'm going to go for an instant one. So it's just a really simple one to run. And we'll talk about scheduled in a moment. Okay, so first report. We're going to manually trigger, and I'm going to click create. And we're going to do a new step. What we're going to do into here is we're going to go for paginated. So whatever you search up here, you could say you knew it was Power BI, so you go for Power BI and then get it from there. But I'm going to do this export to file for paginated reports. And up here, my workspace, it's my Strava workspace, my reports, my activity reports, and I've got all sorts of formats I could do there. Okay, so it allows you to come up with them all, but I'm going to go for PDF. Right, I am not going to be running it as any particular user. Okay, so that bit doesn't work. I'm not worried about. But what I am worried about here is my parameter value. Okay, and if I go and look, have I actually got it open? I don't think I've got it open. Activity index is what I've called it. Okay, so it doesn't give you any help here. But so if I go for my activity index, then we're going to put in a number. Let's put in ride 1. Okay, we'll put something more complicated than that in a little bit. Right, then I'm going to go up to here, and I'm going to minimize that just so that we can see everything on the screen. So that gives me a file. That gives me file contents, but it doesn't give me an actual file. It just gives me the contents. It hasn't saved it anywhere. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to create a file. And I'm going to create a file in SharePoint. And I'm going to pick my demo site, pick my folders. And in here, if you are wanting subfolders, remember to click the arrows, not the name of the document library. And I'm going to put into this, and I'm going to call it Ride 1 .pdf. Remember to put the extension in. The file content. Okay. Now, if you have got original Parallel, you've not turned on experimental parts in Parallel, the dynamic content will come up here. But I've turned on the experimental, so I can click on dynamic value there, and I can give that file content. Okay. So let's go save. Now, I'm going to test it, and then I'm going to talk because it takes a while. It's checking my connections. Didn't continue. Let's press a run. And let's press done. So that was ride 1 PDF. Let me just convince you guys, if I come into here and go to documents, there isn't a ride 1 PDF. Okay, so I'm not cheating. This takes a while to run. This part here is not fast. Also, if you are running this, there are some limitations. I think you need to have, although paginated reports doesn't need premium capacity anymore, doing this trick does need premium capacity. And if you're doing it in PPU, so premium per user, you can only run this every 5 minutes before it goes, nah, we're throttling that, and it pulls back on you. So let's go and have a look in here. Let's just do a quick refresh. And there we are. We've got ride 1. Let's hope it's got some data in it. And there we are. We've got our ride. Okay. So that works, but that only gives me a hard-coded ride. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to do last month's rides. And I want a file saved in here for all of last month's rides. So let's go back into here. And let's go and create a flow. And we're going to, and I'll show you how we could do it as a scheduled flow. Okay, so last month's rides. So probably you do it on the beginning of a month, but we're going to do it once, repeated once a month style. And then I'm going to click create. And the first thing I want to do is get last month's rides. So I've got that data in my Power BI data set. So let's go to Power BI. And let's run a query. Run a query against the data set. By the way, run a JSON query against the data set. If somebody could tell me how that works, that would be lovely. I've yet to find anybody who's ever used it. Workspace. We're going to go for our Strava. We're going to go for our data set. It's all been the Power BI, the paginated report comes off this same data set as well. So query text. Got to write some query in there. Got to write some DAX. So I'm not going to write that much DAX. I'm not SQL BI. So I'm going to come back into my Power BI report. Okay. You can do this either in the original report or in a thin report connected to the data set. Either will work. Okay. And I'm going to go and I'm going to insert a table. And I'm going to put into here, let's bring in off the activity, the index. And I'm going to bring in the activity name. And just to show you what's going on, I'm going to bring in the activity date as well, just so you can see the dates. We'll take the dates off in a second. Okay. And then I'm going to apply a filter, and I've got a calendar set up in here. I've got a calendar set up that's related by the activity date, and I've got a month offset. I can bring in my month offset there and say the month offset is -1. And there we are. I get the 3 rides I did last month. Yeah, my grumpy coach is very grumpy. And so we're going to take that. Although actually there's 4 rides, I think. I think the 4th ride comes in when we refresh. So we're going to take that data there. And then off the optimize, I'm really excited that I won't have to do this via optimize eventually, because the Microsoft have announced that we're going to be able to get this data by other means, but not having to do this hack. Go to Performance Analyzer, start recording, refresh my visuals, and there that will give me a table, a copy query. This is, by the way, another way of being able to create data sets in paginated reports. It's a nice trick in there. I think Chris Finland has a video on it. If I copy that, so that's my DAX. Okay, so I'm now going to come back into my Power Automate, into my query text, and I'm going to paste. And there you go. It has put in all the DAX that's required. Right. I am going to save that, and I'm going to test it. The reason I'm going to test it is because actually there's a trick I need to do in here. Trust me on this one, you need to do this trick in order to make the data out of this make sense. And no, I apologize, I haven't videoed this one yet, but it's coming. It's on my list. So there we go, I've run it, I've got nice little green ticks. And down here, you have a sample. There's the data coming back. There are my 4 rides. So I'm going to click into there, and I'm going to do Control A, Control C to copy it. In order to make that data work and be usable in other steps, I am going to do a trick called parse JSON. And parse JSON just makes it sorted out. It tidies it, it makes it so the rest of the flow can look at that data easier. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to come into click into content, and I'm going to click on the dynamic value that's there, and I'm going to go for first table rows. The schema, I don't want to write by hand, so I'm going to generate from sample. And you copy in the part that I copied from that test run, and then I click done, and there, it writes my JSON schema for me. Okay, there are tricks you can do with that JSON schema, by the way, and there are all sorts of blog posts out there. If you get really stuck on it, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay, there's the data community are fantastic. We will all step up and help. So that gives me my parse JSON. Now what I want to do is I want to use each of those rows. I want to create those 4 files. So we're going to add a new step, and we are going to. It will add 4 each, but I'll let it do that by hand. I am going to go for paginated. That's not how you spell paginated. Export files of paginated reports. Okay. I am going to, in this, so I'm going to pick my workspace, my report. Activity index. And then into here, I am going to bring in parse JSON. I'm going to click see more, and there's the activity index. And as soon as I've done that, it goes, there's multiple rows. It's a table. So therefore, I'm going to put it in and apply to each. And that's exactly what I want it to do. So that works for that part. And then we are going to do exactly the same trick as we did before. We are going to do a create a file. Create file in SharePoint. We're going to pick our site. We are going to go and put them in shared documents. The file name, I can again come into here, and I've got the activity name. So I'm going to put the activity name in there and .pdf. You don't have to worry about doing concatenation or anything like that. It will just cope with that. It's not a problem. And the file content is going to be the file content from that export file to paginated reports. So we are going to do a save. And we are going to do a test. Okay, because obviously we don't want to wait for the month to come around because we really haven't got that long. Okay, so that's going to take a while to run. Okay, and I'm going to let that run, and we'll keep fingers crossed that the demigods are with us. But I also, in that introduction, I mentioned, and I realised I've only got like 5 minutes before we open up the questions. But if there's any questions, please do feel free to put them in chat. I'm going to go and do one more flow, okay? And I'm hoping it's going to be a really simple one. So we're just going to do a quick create. And this could be a scheduled flow. I'm going to put it as an instant flow just to make life easy because it's quicker to do. And we're going to do a Teams message. Okay, and we're going to copy that Power BI step. That running that query. That's that one. Okay. That thing is that centric we've done earlier. Now this isn't going to be the prettiest thing in the world. We'd have to do the parse JSON bit all over again, but I'm not going to do the parse JSON bit all over again. I'm just going to do a really simple here. I am going to create a HTML table. And I'm just going to create that from what I got from the first table rows. Okay. And I am then going to do a new step. I did say we were going to do a Teams message. So let's do Microsoft Teams. And we are going to do a send. Let's do message. Post a message in chat or channel. There we go. Post in a channel. Have I got a channel? Hopefully I have. A team. Coach stuff. I've obviously done this before. And we're going to go for the channel. Really hoping there's going to be one in there. Give me something. Wow, it's not going to be. Do you know what? Let's just stop doing chat with Flowbot. Let's do it the other way around. And I am going to put into there Amy. I was really hoping it was going to give me, there we go, Amy Alberts. And I am literally just going to put in there a hello, or wait a minute, rides. And then we're going to put in that table. And I'm going to click save. So there we are. We've fetched the data, we've made it into a table, and we've sent it to Teams. Okay, so let's just do a quick test of that, and then we're going to have a look at the other one. what I haven't got in here is Office open and Teams. And there we go. Yeah. Not now, Teams. Not now. And there we go. I power automate. There you are. It's giving me. Now, it's not the prettiest thing in the world. I could do some better things with it. We could do some nice tidying up of these dates, but that's doable. Okay. And the paths, Jason, I can rename some of these columns and things, but that is doable. So there's my Teams message. Let's go and have a look at this one. Let's go and have a look at my other flow. So we're going to go back to my flows and last month's rides. Now it took, I think it said down there, it took 2.5 minutes to run, and we can see it's run. We can see it's done all those things. It's got green ticks everywhere, which is lovely. And if I come into here, there we are. We've got our files. And if I go and open one of those files, it's not got any data in. See, I need a demo gods for not loving me today. We're not going to play ball. I've obviously got something wrong in there. That's not the one I want. I've not got data through. My apologies, guys. For some reason, my data has not pulled through in the way that I expected it to pull through. I'm going to have to go and fix that and work out why that's not working. But I'm probably not got time to do it today. But what I can do is, so when you've got something that's not working, okay, what I'm not going to fix, I'm not going to probably get a chance to fix it now. But what I would do is I'd come back into the run here. I would scroll down and look and see what it says. Activity index 23. Okay. And so then go and have a look at my reports. Okay. And activity index, let's just try it out. Refresh page to interact. Okay, I can see that. Let's go and put in a 23 and view report. And it's not working. That would explain why that one's not working. How weird. It was working earlier. I do not know why report 23 is not working. I'm gonna have to go and work that out. But that's what so the important, okay, there's a number of them not working now. I'm gonna have to work out why they don't work. My apologies. I tested on an early number. So that's so going back to my run history, that's the part that I come into here to look what it's got as parameter values, make sure that's the values that I'm expecting to work. Oh, apologies, that's not working. I had tested it, but I tested it obviously on earlier versions. And that's the part that I'd have to go back into Power Automate to make sure it works. And you can see that down here is where it's telling you where it's going to put the file, what it's called it, and all those kinds of parts that are in there. And let's go back to, just to finish off in here. So apologies, that demo didn't work 100%. I'm going to have to go and play with that, and I will create a video of it working and work out what went wrong. I will tweet and LinkedIn. I think that's where you put lots of your things. That I have not got a video in here of that paginated report, but that is on my list to do. I will write it up and put out a blog post and things. Here are the ones currently. My slides are available with that QR code, but I will also give a copy to Cookie to distribute if that's the way she does it. Thank you. My name's Laura GB.
All right, that is excellent. Thank you so much, Laura. We learned a lot here. Do anyone have any questions? I checked in the chat. I didn't see anything, but if you have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand, and then we will take you off mute so that you can ask your question. We have about 3 minutes left, so this is very good timing.
Yeah. I'm very tempted to get distracted now and go and fix that, poll.
Yeah, yep.
Um,
But it
there,
was awesome.
there's I do have on my YouTube channel the using Power Automate to run a paginated report. I do have an example of that from in my 12 days. But if anybody's got any, what board game is that? What board game is that? Really good question. Really good question. What board game is it called? You're now going to bug me. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I'm running to my game shelf.
Is your YouTube 12 Days of Paginated Reports?
And
I'm
it's a really
sorry,
good game.
you're chipping out. Oh, Laura, did you say
And
something?
the game is called photosynthesis. So I had to run to the other room to can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's called photosynthesis, and it's all about the trees. You can't the trees getting sunshine and planting seeds and doing points. It's a brilliant game for 4 people. Recommend it.
Excellent. Yes, we do have the same sentiments. We see here, it says, Laura, thank you so very much. You've opened my eyes to new opportunities. I love how your mind works. You are the best. And yes, she is. So we were very lucky
Thank
to
you.
have her today, and we hope to have you again in the future. If you want
Of
to send
course.
me the video, I will send this out to the members of the community and so they can take a look at it. Also, the recording is going to be available on YouTube. So, for those who weren't able to attend the meeting here live today, they'll get a chance to play back. So, again, thank you, everyone. We are at time, and I appreciate everyone's participation. And also, Laura, thank you again. Many, many thanks.
Look forward to seeing what people do. Take care, guys.
Bye bye.